Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. Liverpool drew 2-2 with West Bromwich Albion. 2 late goals from West Brom, getting them a point, meaning that we weren't able to relegate them, which we wouldn't have been able to do until tomorrow anyway. But bit of a crap second half, to be honest, apart from Mo Salah's goal. I thought, obviously that was the standout goal of the game for me personally. I think, just the fact that he chipped the keeper once again, the movement from Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, the movement from Salah, the ball, the chip, it looked like it was always going to go in as soon as Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain picked the ball up for me. And, good control in first half. I think we maybe lost control of the game with about 40 gone for 5 minutes or something like that. But, to control 40 or 45 minutes in any half is really, really good. And second half, it looked like we thought the game was over even before we scored the second goal. And once we scored the second goal, we certainly let them back into the game, and it's disappointing, of course. It's disappointing. I want Liverpool to go and win every game, and you can point to the manager and his substitutions and his team selection and all that, but ultimately you can judge what the manager's decided to do in this game by how we perform on Tuesday evening. We've got 2 massive games against Roma. I'm sure Paul will have said exactly the same thing. Regardless of what you wanted as a fan, Jurgen Klopp knows this team, Jurgen Klopp knows these players, and Jurgen Klopp will know whether they were playing on the edge and whether we needed to rest players or whether they weren't and whether they were able to go again. And he's chosen to rest Salah when he scored his goal, he's chosen to rest Mane, and he's chosen to rest Bobby Firmino by not starting him in the game. Whether you like it or not, that's the way that it is. That's why Jurgen Klopp's the manager of Liverpool Football Club. He's got us to the Champions League semi-final so far, so I'm not going to be too disappointed. I'm sure there'll be a load of people who aren't that disappointed. We've got bigger and better things. It would have been great to sort of have top 4 wrapped up as it currently stands. We'll probably be we're 3 points ahead, I think, of Tottenham with a superior goal difference. So that's almost like we're okay there. We'll be 5 points ahead of Chelsea, so that's okay there if they win their game in hand. 3 games to go, 5 points ahead of Chelsea. Playing them makes it a little bit different, but the Champions League what Liverpool's season is about, and this week is certainly going to be about. Glad that we get to play the early kick-off this weekend, so we can have as much rest as possible before the Roma game. Glad that the squad aren't having to travel, so there's some positives to be taken out of it. West Brom to Liverpool's absolutely nothing, and then Roma have got to come over there, probably playing about now actually. Dzeko not starting for them. They've got a lot of travelling to do. It's all about Roma, innit? It's all about Roma. Some more stuff on the game itself. I thought Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain looked good when he come on. I was really disappointed with the full-backs in this game. I thought, the left-hand side of our defence, Klavan and Moreno, didn't look great. Sadio Mane wasn't really offering a lot on the left-hand side, although I thought he was really well involved in the game centrally, but it left Moreno too much ground to cover, and actually as an attacking full-back, it looks like Robertson's much better going forward and defensively than Alberto Moreno, but, it's his first start since November for that one. Ragnar Klavan hasn't had a lot of football. He was getting targeted by Rondon and Darren Moore's tactics. Van Dijk seemed to be taking over the sort of twatted out role of Dejan Lovren. Thought Joe Gomez was sort of conservative in possession of the ball, didn't get behind or didn't get beyond the midfield level for us when he was going forward, kept playing balls inside. Is that his fault? Is that no overlaps? Not 100% sure. Thought the midfield did all right until we lost control of the game and we started conceding a load of corners and stuff like that, but disappointed for them to score from a corner. It looked like it was offside for me. It looked like was it Livermore who scored the second? Was just in front of Karius, and it looked like once the shot had been played by whoever hit the first shot from the corner, it looked like he was offside to me. I thought the referee, Allen, was an absolute disgrace. Hardly surprising that, a few years ago he was demoted from the Premier League for 2 years. The lad is from Nuneaton, which is about 40 minutes away from West Brom's ground. That doesn't surprise me either, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he was shocking all game long. Some just ridiculous things. Danny Ings should have had a penalty. I mean, there were so many things that he just did, and it was just baffling decisions from the referee. And I'm not saying they were all in West Brom's favour, but I'd hazard a guess that 99% of them were all in West Brom's favour. So make of that what you will. I'm going to get into some of the comments now. Tom, have you got any for me now, or do you want me to just find some?
Stack, Crooks, Dunn, he's got a long name, I'm not going to read it all. He says, we have home games against Stoke and Brighton, so it's still in our own hands. Let us focus on Roma now.
It's always in our own hands, whether we've got the home games or the away games, because we've got more points than the other team. And that's just the way that it works. But you're exactly right, you know. Brighton, Stoke at home, you're hoping for 6 points from both of them, aren't you? SJC, the backups are freaking shit. We need to sell them and replace them. I think that's really harsh, to be honest with you, mate. I think, you know, these guys haven't played for a long time. November was the last time Moreno started. Joe Gomez has been injured for 4 weeks since the international game he got injured in for England. Ragnar Klavan probably hasn't played a game with Virgil van Dijk in the centre of defence. Danny Ings scored a goal today and he's one of our backup, although he hasn't scored before today. And other than that, they're first teamers, mate. I think it's really harsh. I think, you know, you can't judge a player on one performance, and nor should you. I think Joe Gomez has been really good this season. I think Alberto Moreno, before his injury, was really good this season, bar Sevilla. Thought Clavan's been good this season, and I think Danny Ings has shown desire and heart and determination to fight back from 2 key injuries. I don't get the doom and gloom around it. I really don't. You know, I'm quite an optimistic football fan at the best of times, even at the worst of times, to be fair. I just don't get the doom and gloom around this. I really don't, mate. And I'm sorry to single you out. I saw your comments. I read your comments out. Mr. Anonymous, Gomez is a shambles. The amount of times he's cost us a goal by doing super clearances to the opponents. Listen, Joe Gomez report today, I agree with that. You know, it was his poor back pass, I suppose, that let West Brom in and put some pressure on us and stuff. And we've seen him do that over the course of the season. But he's a 21-year-old fella. He hasn't made tons and tons of mistakes. He can improve. He's not a right back, ultimately. I think he's a centre-half. You want to cut those mistakes out, of course you do. But shambles, certainly not for me anyway. Hey Chris, have you heard anything about a coach greeting for Roma, Liam Fitzgerald? Listen, it's all on nobody's advertising it. But I'll be there to greet the coach whether there's a coach greeting or not. That's kind of the way that is. Salah was good. If you want to turn up and greet the coach, I'm sure you can. Just go down. Just go down to the game early. It's kind of the way of it, isn't there? I'm sure there'll be loads of people doing it. We are 8 points ahead of Chelsea. I think that's what I went and said. If Chelsea win their game in hand, they'll be 5 points behind us. Sarah Smith, Hagazi is a great martial artist. Hagazi was an absolute joke. Should have been sent off for that punch on Danny Ings. He's raked Mohamed Salah's eyes as well, hasn't he? Joe Hubert Corbett, slightly worried about how we don't look as good up front without the front three out there. You could look at it that way, or you could look at it like, when we've got our front three, we're fucking boss. That's the way I'm looking at it. So there you go. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll be back in 5 minutes with the player ratings show. Move over to the board. You can't stay in the chat. You'll have to leave the chat and come back in once we've ended the stream. Otherwise, you won't actually see the video. So like the video, subscribe to Redmen TV, and I'll